A pit in the desert. Deep. Dark. Joseph screamed. His brothers didn't listen. 17 years old. His father's favorite. A colorful coat. Envy. Hatred. A caravan of merchants. 20 pieces of silver. Sold. Like a slave. His name was Joseph. The 11th son of Jacob, but the first son of Rachel, his father's beloved wife. Jacob loved Joseph more than all his other sons. Everyone knew it. Everyone saw it. The coat proved it. Colorful, beautiful, richly ornamented. A gift that said, "You are special. You are chosen." His brothers had simple tunics. Joseph had a masterpiece. But the coat wasn't the only problem. Joseph had dreams. Vivid dreams. Dreams of greatness. And he told them. To everyone. "Listen to this dream I had," he said one morning. "We were binding sheaves of grain in the field. Suddenly, my sheaf rose and stood upright. Your sheaves gathered around mine and bowed down to it." His brothers stared, anger rising. "Do you think you will rule over us?" they spat. "Will you actually reign over us?" They hated him more. Then came another dream, even bolder. The sun, moon, and 11 stars were bowing down to me. Even his father rebuked him. "What is this dream? Will your mother and I and your brothers actually bow down to you?" But Jacob remembered the words, wondered, waited. The brothers didn't wonder. They burned with jealousy, with rage, with a hatred that would soon turn murderous. One day, Jacob sent Joseph to check on his brothers. They were tending flocks far from home, days away. Joseph went, wearing that coat. The brothers saw him coming from a distance, that colorful coat. A flame in the desert sun. "Here comes the dreamer," one sneered. "Let's kill him," said another. "Throw him in a pit. Say a wild animal devoured him. Then we'll see what becomes of his dreams." But Reuben, the oldest, intervened. "Don't shed blood. Throw him into this pit, but don't lay a hand on him." He planned to rescue Joseph later. They agreed. When Joseph arrived, smiling, unsuspecting, they grabbed him, tore off his coat, that beautiful, hated coat, threw him into an empty cistern, deep, dry, dark, dark. Joseph's screams echoed, pleading, begging, his own brothers, his own blood. They sat down to eat, ignoring his cries. Then they saw it. A caravan. Ishmaelite merchants heading to Egypt, loaded with spices, balm, and myrrh. Judah had an idea. What profit is there if we kill our brother? Let's sell him to these merchants. He's our brother, our own flesh after all. They agreed, pulled Joseph from the pit, sold him for 20 shekels of silver, the price of a slave. Joseph's cries turned to silence. Shock, disbelief, betrayed. By his own brothers. The merchants bound him, led him away, toward Egypt, toward the unknown. The brothers took Joseph's coat, slaughtered a goat, dipped the coat in blood, brought it to their father. "We found this. Examine it. Is it your son's robe?" Jacob recognized it, tore his clothes, wept. "A wild animal has devoured him. Joseph has surely been torn to pieces." He mourned, inconsolable, for days, Weeks, months, and Joseph in chains on a dusty road to Egypt, alone, afraid, 17 years old, his dreams shattered, his family gone, his future a question mark written in sand. Egypt, the land of pyramids and pharaohs. Ancient, powerful, foreign. Joseph was sold again to Potiphar, captain of Pharaoh's guard, a high official, a man of influence. Slave. That's what Joseph was now. Nothing more. But something remarkable happened. The Lord was with Joseph. Everything he did prospered. Potiphar noticed, saw that this Hebrew slave had something different. Wisdom, integrity. Success followed him like a shadow. Potiphar promoted him, put him in charge of his household. Everything he owned. Joseph managed it all. Blessings flowed, not just to Joseph, to Potiphar's entire house. Because of Joseph. Because God was with Joseph. Success. After the pit, after betrayal, a glimpse of hope. But trials weren't finished. Potiphar's wife noticed Joseph, young, handsome, capable. Day after day she watched him, desired him. One day, when the house was empty, she approached. "Come to bed with me," she demanded. Joseph refused. "My master trusts me with everything. How could I do such a wicked thing and sin against God?" She persisted. Day after day. Advances, seductions, demands. Always Joseph refused. Then came the trap. She caught him by his cloak. "Come to bed with me." Joseph ran, left his cloak in her hand, fled the house. Fury. A woman scorned, she screamed, called the servants. "This Hebrew slave tried to assault me. He came to me, but I screamed." He ran, leaving his cloak. She showed the cloak to Potiphar, lied, accused, twisted truth into weapon. Potiphar believed his wife. Joseph was thrown into prison, the king's prison, where Pharaoh's prisoners were confined, from pit to prosperity to prison. The innocent punished, the righteous imprisoned, everything lost. Again. But even there, even in that dark dungeon, the Lord was with Joseph. The warden saw it, noticed Joseph's character, his integrity, put him in charge of all the prisoners, trusted him completely. Whatever Joseph did, God blessed. Years passed, in chains, in darkness, far from family, far from dreams. Then 2 new prisoners arrived, Pharaoh's cupbearer and baker, high officials who'd offended the king. One night, both men had dreams, troubling dreams. They woke disturbed, confused. Joseph noticed. "Why do you look so sad today?" "We both had dreams, but there's no one to interpret them." Joseph spoke. "Don't interpretations belong to God? Tell me your dreams." The cupbearer went first. "In my dream, I saw a vine with 3 branches. It budded, blossomed, and produced grapes. I squeezed them into Pharaoh's cup." Joseph listened. God revealed the meaning. The 3 branches are 3 days. Within 3 days, Pharaoh will lift up your head and restore you to your position. You'll place Pharaoh's cup in his hand, just as before. Then Joseph made a request, his voice quiet, desperate. When things go well with you, remember me. Mention me to Pharaoh. Get me out of this prison. I was forcibly carried off from the land of the Hebrews. I've done nothing to deserve being in this dungeon." The cupbearer nodded, promised. The baker, encouraged, shared his dream. 3 baskets of bread, birds eating from them. Joseph's face fell. "Within 3 days, Pharaoh will lift off your head and impale your body on a pole. Birds will eat your flesh." 3 days later, Pharaoh's birthday. A feast. Just as Joseph said, the cupbearer was restored. The baker was executed. Joseph waited. Surely the cupbearer would remember. Surely freedom was near. But the cupbearer forgot. 2 years passed. 2 more years. In prison. Forgotten. Abandoned. By brothers. By master. By the cupbearer. By everyone. Only God remained. Silent. Present. Working in ways Joseph couldn't see. Then Pharaoh had a dream. He stood by the Nile. 7 healthy cows came up from the river. Fat. Sleek. Then 7 other cows. Ugly. Gaunt. The ugly cows ate the fat cows. Pharaoh woke. Disturbed. Fell asleep again. Another dream. 7 heads of grain. Plump. Good. Then 7 thin heads, scorched by wind. The thin heads swallowed the plump ones. Morning came. Pharaoh was troubled, called all the magicians of Egypt, all the wise men, told them his dreams. No one could interpret them. Then the cupbearer remembered. "Today I remember my faults," he said. "When I was in prison, there was a young Hebrew, a slave of the captain of the guard. He interpreted dreams for me and the baker. Everything happened exactly as he said." Pharaoh sent for Joseph immediately. They rushed him from the dungeon, shaved him, changed his clothes, brought him before Pharaoh, from prison to palace. In minutes. "I had a dream," Pharaoh said. "No one can interpret it. But I've heard you can interpret dreams." Joseph answered, humble, clear, "I cannot do it, but God will give Pharaoh the answer." Pharaoh told his dreams. Joseph listened. God revealed the meaning. "The 2 dreams are one," Joseph said. God is telling Pharaoh what he is about to do. The 7 good cows are 7 years. The 7 good heads of grain are 7 years. The 7 lean cows and 7 worthless heads are 7 years of famine. 7 years of great abundance are coming throughout Egypt. But 7 years of famine will follow. The abundance will be forgotten. The famine will ravage the land. God has shown Pharaoh what he is about to do. The reason the dream came twice is that the matter is firmly decided by God, and he will do it soon. Then Joseph spoke boldly. "Let Pharaoh appoint a wise man to oversee Egypt. Collect 1/5 of the harvest during the 7 good years. Store grain under Pharaoh's authority. Save it for the 7 years of famine, or the land will be ruined." The plan was good. Pharaoh saw it. His officials saw it. Pharaoh looked at Joseph. "Can we find anyone like this man? One in whom is the Spirit of God." He turned to Joseph. "Since God has made all this known to you, there is no one as wise as you. You shall be in charge of my palace. All my people will submit to your orders. Only with respect to the throne will I be greater than you." Pharaoh took off his signet ring, placed it on Joseph's finger, dressed him in fine linen, put a gold chain around his neck, had him ride in his second chariot. People shouted before him, "Make way," from pit to palace, from prison to power, from slave to second in command. In one day, God changed everything. Joseph was 30 years old. 20 years had passed since that pit. 20 years of slavery, false accusations, imprisonment, forgotten promises. But God had been there. Every step, every dark night, every injustice. The Lord was with Joseph, always. The 7 years of abundance came, exactly as Joseph predicted, grain like sand, stored in vast quantities, more than could be counted. Then the famine began, exactly as predicted. Egypt had food. The surrounding nations starved. People came from every country to Egypt to buy grain, including 10 men from Canaan, Joseph's brothers. The famine had reached their father's house. Jacob sent his sons to Egypt to buy food, all except Benjamin, the youngest, Rachel's only other son. Jacob couldn't bear to lose him, too. The brothers stood before Joseph, Egypt's governor. They bowed down, faces to the ground, just like the sheaves, just like the dream. Joseph recognized them instantly, but they didn't recognize him. 20 years older. Egyptian clothes. Speaking through an interpreter. The boy they'd sold was now a powerful man. Joseph's heart pounded. Emotions flooded. Memories crashed like waves. He spoke harshly, tested them. "You're spies. You've come to see the weak points of our land." "No, my lord," they said. "We've come to buy food. We're all sons of one man. 12 brothers. The youngest is with our father. One is no more. One is no more." Joseph's throat tightened. He tested them further. Kept Simeon as hostage. Sent them back to bring Benjamin. They returned home, told Jacob everything. He resisted. Joseph is no more. Simeon is no more. Now you want to take Benjamin? Everything is against me. But the famine was severe. They had no choice. They returned to Egypt with Benjamin. Joseph saw Benjamin, his only full brother, Rachel's son. His emotions nearly broke. He hurried to his private room and wept. He washed his face, returned, composed, tested them more. Finally, he couldn't control himself any longer. "Have everyone leave," he commanded. The room emptied. Only Joseph and his brothers remained. Joseph wept so loudly that the Egyptians heard. Pharaoh's household heard. Through tears he spoke. In Hebrew, no interpreter needed now. "I am Joseph." The brothers froze. Terror gripped them. "Is my father still living?" They couldn't answer. Too terrified. The brother they'd betrayed, the slave they'd sold, now stood before them with all the power of Egypt. He could destroy them, execute them, revenge everything. Joseph saw their fear, spoke gently, "Come close to me." They came closer, trembling. "I am your brother Joseph," the one you sold into Egypt. Silence. Thick. Heavy. Then Joseph spoke words that would echo through centuries. Don't be distressed. Don't be angry with yourselves for selling me here, because it was to save lives that God sent me ahead of you. For 2 years now, there's been famine. 5 more years without harvest are coming. But God sent me ahead of you to preserve for you a remnant on earth and to save your lives by a great deliverance. So then, it wasn't you who sent me here, but God. He made me father to Pharaoh, lord of his entire household and ruler of all Egypt. You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good, to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives. Forgiveness. Complete. Total. Transformative. Not, I forgive because I must, but God used your evil for his good purpose. Joseph embraced Benjamin, wept, then kissed all his brothers, wept over them. They talked. For hours, the wounds beginning to heal. Jacob came to Egypt, saw Joseph alive, the son he'd mourned for decades, living, ruling, redeemed. The family was restored, settled in the land of Goshen, protected, provided for, saved from famine. The brothers bowed before Joseph again and again, bringing their families, asking for grain, seeking help. Just as the dream foretold, sheaves bowing, stars bowing, not for Joseph's glory, for God's plan, from the pit to the palace, from betrayal to forgiveness, from darkness to light. What men meant for evil, God turned to good, to save many lives, to fulfill his purpose. When you're in the pit, the deep, dark place where brothers betray and circumstances crush, know this: God is with you. When you're in prison, falsely accused, righteously suffering, forgotten by those you helped, know this: God has not forgotten you. He has a plan, bigger than your pain, deeper than your pit, higher than any palace. Trust him, even in the darkness, especially in the darkness. He is working, always working, turning evil into good, bringing life from death, light from darkness. And one day you'll see it. You'll understand. You'll bow not in defeat, but in worship, because his plans are always good, always redemptive, always for the saving of many lives.